Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham namasami. Welcome everybody to this Tuesday night program. I'm especially delighted to see a couple of old friends that I haven't seen for a long time. And I'm also very happy to welcome Seminary Nyada as when we have one of the monastics coming in to visit our program. It's good to acknowledge that. So welcome, Nyada. I have to do something to let you speak. There, now you can.
Yes, thank you so much to welcome me to the program. But I heard about you're going to be gone. And this was to the East Coast?
Yes, that's very true.
Oh, okay. It's all right. We cannot expect anything permanent, isn't it? The plan we thought is going to happen, it's probably going to happen. So I wish you happy on your traveling to the East Coast.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Ayya, I
Yes.
was wondering if before you begin teaching, I could make an announcement to the group.
Yes, you may.
And you can plug your ears.
Okay.
Thank you. So this group is celebrating the teachings of Ayya Sobhana, which we've been privileged to experience for the last 20 years. And as she is moving on to Empty Cloud Monastery in New Jersey, I'm taking up a collection to offer her a cell phone to take with her. So I guess that we're looking for both contributions to the cell phone, and if anybody has a family account that they could add Ayya onto without too much issue, that would be great. We already have raised about $600, but we need about 900 or so. So 900 to 1,000 if we want to get her a nice, good, like widescreen cell phone. So if anybody can find it in their heart to help to contribute, you can, I'll put my, you can contribute to, with a byline at the bottom for Ayya Sobhana. You can send the money to my Zelle account, and I'll put my name and phone number on the bottom. I think that's the easiest thing for us to do. You could also mail me a check. And there is also going to be a presentation, a farewell recognition for Ayya Sobhana on Sunday, June 8th, at Dhamma Monastery, I believe. And I'll let you know if it's going to be at Aranya Bodhi, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be at the monastery. So I'd like to present the cell phone on June 8th. And if anybody of you can find in your heart to contribute, I'd appreciate it. So I'm going to put my contact information in the chat and just let me know. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay. Another something that I can tell people is I realized some people would like to find out if I'm giving any Zoom Dhamma talks from where I land in New Jersey. And so I made up a extremely simple, crude, basic, primitive little page for myself at which I'm going to post my itinerary wherever I happen to be traveling or visiting, or places that I might be giving a Dhamma talk. Oops. Shari, were you putting your contact information into the chat?
Exactly, yeah. I'm typing it in now. I'm almost done.
Okay.
Don't forget your phone number.
That one there is the place that you can look to catch up with Ayya Sobhana. And then the next one that just came in was Shari Gent's contact information. The Buddha was contemplating dependent origination during the weeks after his awakening. So on a Vesak day, he woke up under the Bodhi tree. His many, almost countless lifetimes of practice as a bodhisattva culminated into this realization. And because of the compassion and genius of the Buddha, he pointed out the way, pointed out the Dhamma, pointed out the path of practice wherein it's possible for a human being to realize the same thing that the Buddha realized. If you have that breakthrough to the knowledge of the Noble Ones, one thing that will happen is that the identification of a self in any of the aggregates, whether it's be your body or your aspects of your mind, aspects about your beliefs, things that you think are important as far as your possessions or your social position, etc., all the things that a person can identify with, that they can take on board, appropriate, and claim as being questions of identity. All of that breaks absolutely with this awakening, and it's then what the way, it seems, the way that the newly awakened Buddha saw it was in terms of this stream of what's called a dependent origination or a specific causation. He had been so concerned in a way with such integrity and such dedication when he was aware of how human beings suffer, how they suffer from old age, sickness, and death, that he then investigated, reflected, and searched to see what is the condition, what is the cause, why we have to be in this kind of world where death is always looming over us, where whatever we have something within us that wants to be alive, that wants to claim this existence and to delight and take some glory in this existence, and yet it's always destined to failure in the end because always death comes at the end. And so then the Bodhisattva investigated and pursued this, and then with his awakening, the way it came to be explained and handed down to us is within this sequence of conditions that characterizes beings like us, that characterizes our way of thinking, and which, if we don't escape, has the inevitable result of culminating in dukkha. So dukkha is the pervading color of this world as long as we don't escape from it. There's one of the versions that we see of dependent arising. The standard version starts with ignorance, avidya, and then there's and then on the reverse side, on the side of escape, it begins with the complete release from avidya with nothing left remaining. So that's one version. And then there's another version that we see in some of the suttas about dependent arising that starts with the 6 sense bases. And with their external objects and with the cognition or the knowing faculty that is carried along through the inclination towards the experience that's coming to us through the 6 senses. So this is like how people or how beings, how we live and how we know. We have, and this is one reason why I started the guided meditation this morning with just developing awareness of the touching sensation. One of the reasons why very often meditation teachers emphasize starting with awareness of the body or with the body scanning, which is really about noticing touching through the body, or there's another kind of meditation focusing on developing the sensitivity to be able to experience what's happening right now through the senses, through the touch. And this is done to help a person to connect with reality. And it's also done to help a person not to get lost in their thinking, planning, daydreaming, worrying, or memories of the past, but instead to be able to stay in the present moment, because those sensations arising, like the touching in the body and the other 5 senses, are always happening in the present moment. So it's a kind of way of making a corral so that the meditation can be more simple, because you've dropped away. 80% of what the mind does all day long is thinking about problems and worrying about problems and planning about the future and trying to recollect something from the past and so on and so on. We live every place else except in the here and now. So that's useful. Just coming to the here and now in order to be able to settle the mind and able to begin to develop the skill and the recognition that actually it's possible to choose what you do with the mind. So you have a choice when you sit down for meditation. You may choose to spend the whole hour worrying about your problems, or you may choose to ignore all your problems for 30 minutes and just be with what's arising through the senses. But then I think there's another, even a more powerful reason why the Blessed One frequently gave the guidance and the instructions to start meditation with the senses. And that is because of the place that the sixfold base has in the middle of that string of dependent origination. So if, because of all the conditions that had before, we happen to take birth as a human being, and this rebirth linking consciousness arose and connected with this name and form and the being descended into the womb and took life, and an individual, a living individual, was created, then okay, for some reason, because of the previous karma, the previous causes and conditions, we landed here as a human being. So now we're here. What do we have? So then the first thing that we have in this present here and now, according to this section of dependent arising, is we have the six senses. And because of that triple conjunction, we have the contact, which is where everything that we can experience is arising from that. Everything we experience is arising from that contact through the six sense bases. There's nothing else that we experience except what's experienced arising from that. So you could say there is this great, wide, and wonderful world, and the world really exists, and the world itself has its own objective reality, and that's true in a way, but it's also true that the only world that I am able to experience is the world that's arising through that contact from the sense bases. It's the only one. Even modern scientists say that if, for example, through the eye, there's some pattern of light and color that's striking the eye, and through some kind of a process through the nervous system, something is happening in the brain with the input from what's coming from the eye. Then there's a brain process or a mental process where this mind takes a guess at what it is. So I can see some little images on the screen of you, and I can see some people here in the meditation hall. So the mind takes a guess. Okay, these are my friends, my Dhamma friends. And then what I experience is the thing that got fabricated in the mind. I'm not really experiencing your faces. I'm experiencing something that's happening inside that's in a correspondence with that. And then from there comes Vedana, the feeling, which is very often explained as the three kinds of feeling: the pleasant, unpleasant, and neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And already, if we think about feeling in those terms, then we can see that for an ordinary person, it's a match to the fuel when there's a pleasant feeling. If the mind is inclined to greed, when that pleasant feeling comes, then we want it, and that's craving. Or if it's an unpleasant feeling, we want to get rid of it. Or if it's a neutral feeling, if we're an ordinary uneducated person, we didn't even notice the neutral ones. But if we're wise and we've learned how to be mindful, we do notice the neutral ones, and we very much appreciate those moments of neutral feeling because they're so cool and relaxing, and because we don't have as much of this. It's almost like a biological tendency towards greed and aversion is not coming up in connection with those neutral objects, the neutral feeling. And so at that moment we have a space, a moment of freedom from that greed and aversion. The other way that the senses are very commonly described is in terms of those six sense bases. So the six kind of feeling are the ones associated with the feeling which is arising based on the eye, based on the seeing faculty. The feeling that's arising based on sound and hearing, and so on, through the five senses, and then even more powerfully than anything else, the feeling that's arising through an idea touching the mind. You might have experienced this very strongly just during the guided meditation when I invited to bring out the thought of loving kindness. Usually for me, and I think for a lot of people, whenever the thought of loving kindness arises, there's a very clear, definite shift in the feeling tone. I can feel my mind really changing, and I can feel the body is changing because of the shift in the feeling that comes with that thought of loving kindness. Of course, other kinds of thoughts also bring out their own strong, clear, and definite feelings. So, there could be a thought of gratitude, or it could be a negative thought. The kinds of craving, the one that's, there's three. It's defined as the craving, sensual craving, and then what's called bhava tanha, which is the craving for an existence in the fine material realm, or you could say in the Brahma world, or you could say a craving for existence which is something like what one could experience in deep jhana. And then the third craving is called vibhava tanha, which is the craving for an existence in the immaterial world, in a world which is freed from all of the trouble, disturbance, and agitation connected with having a material body. And if a person knows how to practice that style of meditation towards immaterial meditation, then even in the guided meditation, when I invited letting the sensation of the breath to drop away and to be aware of boundless space, that would be kind of the process that could happen if you were going towards that type of meditation. Now, meditation in the Brahma abidings, meditation in jhana, immaterial meditation are all wonderful, beneficial states because of the way that they bring about so much clarity, so much ability to just see our own inner process, the mental process, and even the mind-body connection, and the subtle, rapid flow of all the different phenomena that are constantly mixing together with the flow of our mental state. Those things, seeing those things, is very much enhanced by being capable of going to that deep meditation. My idea is that when we come to circling back to this tanha, or this craving, the kama tanha, the craving for sensual pleasures, must be 99% of the work. By far the most important one. Especially if we put it in the context that the Buddha teaches us about the 6 sense bases, not only the 5, but also the mental, as being part of the contemplation, and learning how to be sensitized and aware of the Vedana that's coming up as a result of contact with any of the sense bases. And then the invitation is be aware of the fetter that happened right there when the mind grabbed hold of some experience. And that craving and clinging process began. Here's a verse in the Sutta Nipata. If a mortal desires sensual pleasure and their desire succeeds, they definitely become elated with having got what they want. But for that person in the throes of pleasure, aroused by desire, if those pleasures fade, it hurts like an arrow's strike. One who, being mindful, avoids sensual pleasure, like sidestepping a snake's head, transcends attachment to the world. There are many objects of sensual pleasure: fields, lands and gold, cattle and horses, slaves and servants, women and relatives. When a man lusts over these, the weak overpower him, and adversities crush him. Suffering follows him like water in a leaky boat. That's why a person ever mindful should avoid sensual pleasures, give them up, cross the flood as a bailed out boat reaches the far shore. Uh, so a person doesn't become obsessed or really bound up with feeling. They don't become suicidally depressed or enraged, ready to go for war, just because of a simple sensation. We don't go to war because of the sweet flavor of ice cream. We don't commit suicide because of the complete flavor of ice cream. But rather, these other objects that are part of sense desire, the fields, the land, the gold, the cattle, and the horses, that's our material wealth, which comes to be very much connected to, it is connected to our having a secure existence, feeling that we will be able to live and we'll be able to survive. Our life will be able to go on. We're not going to lose our life. We're not going to lose our existence. We're not going to be ruined, and we're not going to be killed because we built up some wealth. We got some property. We got some gold. We got some cattle. And so that is then, it's because of those things, and this is why, humans go to war because of wealth and the desire for wealth, because they associate their wealth with their safety, and they associate the loss of wealth with being eradicated, of being wiped out, and then even the pleasure that comes about because of our slaves and servants, women and relatives, has got like everything to do with our social status and the social surroundings. So if you feel that you have a connection to our friends, our family, our community, there's so much that goes on in the mind with this back and forth that's happening within people, between friends. Even as I'm speaking now, I can see some people who are looking at me and paying attention and listening to what I'm saying. And it's because of that contact about, I hope I'm trying to speak the words of the Buddha, to speak about the Dhamma and to explain it in a way which is faithful to the teachings of the Dhamma. And then when I see the eyes of people who are listening and watching, I know it's because you would like to escape from samsara. You would like to gain your freedom. You would like to come to the end of dukkha. And it's for that reason that you care, you're interested, you're awake, you're really paying attention. And so, but those kinds of interpersonal contacts then can become a danger for the mind if when the mind builds up its sense of self because of having their social connections, having their social position. In some of the previous years, Dhammadharini has taken a break from giving the weekly Zoom teachings during our winter retreat from January until March. A couple of times we experimented with having one of the lay people leading the programs. And this winter, it was suggested that I should give up teaching you 3 times a week for the 3 months of the winter retreat. And I'm ashamed to say that I got really upset because I didn't want to be separated from you. So my craving for the social connection spring up right there. And my mind was like taken over with craving. Even though it's something that's wholesome and good, like speaking about the Dhamma with one's friends, nevertheless, when craving takes hold, okay, that's the danger, that's the fuel, and that is a guaranteed ticket to going round and round in the cycle of rebirth. So when we wake up, that craving is not going to be a factor like that. If the circumstances change, and everything that changes. You thought that there were certain rules and regulations that govern the world. You thought that the government was supposed to be honest. Surprise! you, you thought that it was, there's 100 different things. And when we find out that all of the customs and cultural aspects of things and how things are done it's not necessarily so. One could be born into a world where one is not surrounded by virtue and morality and people sharing the same values and trying to live in the same way with the same aspirations and the same goals. You might be surrounded by people who have got completely different values, completely different goals. And if you are still an ordinary, unwise person, you will be overturned. You will be distressed and disturbed, and you'll wail and lament because of things not being the way you think they should be. But if you're wise, if we wake up, we still know that having virtuous Dhamma friends is a good thing. We still even know that friendship is a nutriment for the holy life. We still know that virtue is the foundation for liberation, and it is something to be cultivated and purified. But then, at the same time, when we see that all things are impermanent, that whatever we thought we could rely on, we can't rely on it, then without giving up our wisdom, nevertheless we transcend the craving of all sorts. When in dependent origination, there's a sequence of causes, some of which are said in the commentary to be a sufficient cause, meaning that if one thing exists, the next thing invariably is going to exist. So, like where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's fire, there's heat. You can't have a fire that doesn't produce heat. Fire always produces heat. The cluster of phenomena that are in the beginning of this qualities that we have as being alive, taking on name and form, having six senses, having the consciousness, having the name and form, having the six senses, having a contact, having the Vedana. All of these things are so very closely bound up in causation. So you will, it's said in the Buddhist system that contact always produces a feeling. So once you got born, you don't need to blame yourself because of having feelings. A feeling is already on the ticket. But the next step between the feeling and craving, it is possible that there can be a feeling, but that craving will not necessarily follow. I will tell you not to think that you can protect yourself from craving by just being mindful. Rather, the thing that really protects you from stepping over the line, from feeling over to craving, the thing that protects you is the wisdom, the knowledge, the vidya. So at the very beginning of dependent arising, depending on ignorance, this sequence begins. And then as long as ignorance is the pervading factor, then you will not be safe from the danger that feeling can trigger craving. And then once craving is triggered, then the clinging upadana happens, and from there comes an identification. This is where we start to fabricate a world. And if you fabricate a heavenly world because you have so many meritorious good deeds, and you're filled with loving kindness all the time, and you see that which is beautiful and lovely and good. You see the good in every person. You see, you experience this profound, great, pleasant aspect of existence because of your practice of loving kindness. If you still have got a delusion about a self, you could get reborn in the Brahma realm, and you can stay there for a long time, enjoying the pleasant existence there before that wholesome karma comes to its end, and then you still may have some work to do. But if you are overwhelmed by resentment, anger, dislike, anxiety, if you're overwhelmed by existential anxiety, if you are addicted to pleasure, because oftentimes those kind of addictions are very much associated with pain. So the pain is so bad, and then you cover the pain up with pleasure, because that's the only way you know to get out of pain is to hide out temporarily through sensual pleasure. Then you're on the real roller coaster. You're really tight. You're really in jail. You're really in a prison of instability and emotional turmoil, and then you got an existence that could be like sort of an animal existence, like if you think you live in a dog-eat-dog world, and you're just trying to get your material success, and just be sure that you've got enough for your body. Then you could be living in a world that's like being something like an animal, and then you can be reborn in the animal world, or if you are really fallen into I would say it's a really mentally ill state of being really overwhelmed with anger and cruelty and lack of restraint, then you could get to be reborn in hell. And if you go to hell, you could stay there as long as you think you deserve to stay in hell. So it's your remorse. You've written your own. You are the judge and the jury, and you have sentenced yourself to so many eons in hell. Now, how to get out of it? I'm going to take a few more minutes and give a practical suggestion about it. If first of all you see that these sensual pleasures give little gratification and much suffering and distress, they're filled with drawbacks. You see that what you experience, especially with the five senses that are likable, desirable, agreeable, pleasant, sensual, and arousing, then you get pleasure and happiness from them. That's the gratification. But what's the disadvantage? There's the effort of acquiring these pleasures. There's the loss when you lose those pleasures. There's the quarreling, the fighting, the war, the crime, and the punishment that comes about when you're in danger of losing those pleasures. And then a rebirth comes in a woeful state. So then the best solution is to develop renunciation. Renunciation is called nekkhamma in Pali. In the second step of the Noble Eightfold Path, there's three kinds of thoughts that are to be cultivated. And the first one is nekkhamma, or renunciation. Letting go of pleasure. Letting go of the attachment to sensual pleasure. By learning what nekkhamma is, which can involve drastically reducing your herd of cattle and your pile of gold and your stable of women or relatives that you may have, and simply taking a simple and a solitary or a much quieter existence. If you still have possessions and relationships, being very clear and careful to always practice them with an open hand, knowing this person can go at any time. Death can take this person at any time. This person is not my property. I'm going to have to let go in the future, so I might as well let go in the present. So even while we're doing our job, doing our duty, taking care of our relatives, or doing the things we have to do that are worldly, we do them without attachment and without greed. Watching out, using our mindfulness to be aware of each time that some kind of, there's like an arising of an emotional reaction. That's where craving. That's craving. Every time something comes up, emotions, like this, or oh, I love it. When the emotions get activated like that, you say, oh, look at the craving there, and so that's your tip, and then look further, look more deeply. See, okay, is there something that I'm holding on to or that I'm picking up that I'm able to let go of? What am I holding on to that's causing me to be reacting like this? And can I let go? That's nekama. When a person focuses on renunciation like that, the mind leaps forth, gains confidence, settles down, becomes decided. The mind is in a good state, well developed, well risen, well freed, well detached from sensual pleasures. And they don't get these distressing, feverish defilements. And then at that stage, they are really capable of meditation. If you can live like that, then you can enter deep meditation anytime you want to. I shall pause now, and there's 10 minutes left in this time, and I'd like to invite if there are any questions or comments about this. Okay, I'll call on Ren.
Thank you, Ayya. I hear you. This is so good. I have one comment and one question. I'll make them brief. The comment was about what you said about starting with 5 senses in the dependent originations. I feel it's so very useful, especially for people who tend to think a lot and get carried with the thought, like what you said. So that's so good. And I think in addition to that, what my personal feeling is that also those senses, those processes are before karma, right? So the longer I could stay in fine-tuning my sensitivity within that realm before karma's form, I think that's just good. Then I can start to fine-tune maybe 5 senses and to just touch on thought, just thought, without further. If I could really touch on the sensitivity of it, it's humongous. So
Yeah. Good. Perfect.
yeah,
I think you got it.
yeah.
This is
Thank you.
just what I'm trying to say, that the Buddha did not say, the world of the senses is bad, so cut off your senses. Instead, he said, this is the way to be able to discover and see what's really arising. You can't learn if you don't show up. So to show up, you've got to be present. And then developing the ability to be present, alert, and aware of what's happening through the senses is absolutely the starting point. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And then my question is, some point ago, I remember in one of the classes, you say thought came from it's an external, come from the outside. Somewhere in the sutta, or I just remember that just stuck in my mind. I wonder if there's time to expand a little bit on the external factor.
Say again, contemplating thought internally and externally?
No. As a like sight, like things we receive the sight sense from looking at something. The light hits our eyes. That's come from the outside. There's a inference like of thoughts being an outside coming in versus from our brain, or pouring out from our brain in our brain. I wonder if there's something to.
Well, the in general, it's very easy to visualize how something outside is creating the stimulus for like a visual object or through the five senses. You can see that more clearly. And then with thought seems to be naturally much more internal. And if you have like thoughts that are coming into you by being transmitted through other people, like if you have psychic powers, or if you're in the presence of somebody who has psychic powers, a thought could like come into you that's coming from another person. But many of us are not like sensitized in that way, and our thought world is just seems to be just what's happening inside. One can absolutely know inferentially that other people are also thinking the same as us. And so you can know there are thoughts internal and external. The thoughts going on inside of our brain are within us, and the thoughts happening within others. But then thoughts are definitely communicated. They definitely are transmitted from outside. They're transmitted through culture. They're transmitted through speech and language. And those thoughts are coming in from outside just as surely as seeing an object or a certain pattern of light and color is creating a form. So the same way the surrounding mental world of our human culture, it is a thought world, and it does come into us. And if we are living in a Buddhist world and we're only read Buddhist books and only think about the Dhamma, only ponder about the Dhamma, then our thought world just is entirely consisting of these Buddhist ideas. But if we still have the other ideas that come from whatever country, whatever culture, whatever time in history that we live in. So I hope that answers. I'm not quite sure that I remember how your question arose, but
Yeah, it was from many months ago in one of your classes.
yeah.
I asked this because I'm tending to veer towards the belief that our brain is like an antenna versus like a reservoir of thoughts. It's more like it's an instrument that fine-tunes things versus the reservoir of things. But anyway, thank you so much.
Okay. We're coming right up to the end of the time, and I want to be respectful, especially of our host at the Wat Poo Danosorn, and allow them to close the meeting on time. So we can close this meeting by giving respects to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantam Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangha Sanghang Namami.
Thank you so much, Ajahn, for
Okay.
the lesson, for the talk.
Thank you,
Thank
Ayya.
you.
We bow to our teacher.
Thank you.
Sadhu,
Banda Bala Banda
sadhu,
Bache Kananche Ambalam
sadhu, sadhu, sadhu,
Danam Shite
sadhu,
Jainam
Sadhu,
Atmanandanam.
sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
See you next time.
Thank you, Ayya. Good night.
You have many